Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I truly hope that you will stick around. On my channel you can find loads of different crochet tutorials, and I'm always making sure that they are as beginner friendly as possible. And also today I'm out with yet another crochet tutorial, and this time I'm going to teach you how to make this super cute crochet bralette. And this is a perfect project for beginners out there, or simply for someone who is looking for a quick and simple project, because this one won't take you more than 1 to 2 days depending on your skill level, and is very easy and satisfying to make. And you can simply use it as a summer top or even as a bikini. I also hear that some people suggested that this would be a perfect top for yoga, or you can just have it as something that you can combine it with other creations, as I'm wearing it now. And also for this tutorial I have made it as beginner friendly as possible, so I'm jumping into as much detail as I can with every single stitch and every single step to make sure that everyone is able to follow along. But if you feel like I'm going too fast or too slow, then just feel free to adjust the speed of the video, and I'm sure that it will help. And if you have any other questions, then just feel free to reach out in the comment section below and I will try to help you from there. But now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Here are the materials that I will be using. Here I have some 4-ply cotton yarn, and just in case if you're wondering, here are some more specs. And in total I will need approximately 1 to 2 skeins, so around 50 to 100 grams, but that of course depends on the size that you are going for. And of course you would also need a crochet hook. For this project I will be using 3mm hook, and you will also need some scissors. But now let's jump into it. So to get started, we will first have to do a slip knot, and for that I normally just grab my yarn like this, then I twist it to create a cross like that, and then through this loop I just grab yarn and pull it through, and in this way we have created a knot as well as a bigger loop. And then we can just take our crochet hook and pull it through this loop and just adjust the size of it so it actually matches our hook. So in this way we have now created a slip knot, and now the next step would be to do some chains. And to do a chain you basically just have to yarn over and then pull this yarn through the loop that you have on your hook. So here I'm just doing the chains. And since we will be working on this top from top down, basically the total length of these chains will determine the width of the upper part of this top. And also the first and last chain will be the points where we will be later on placing in the straps. So just make sure that you are measuring as you go, because later on, once we will be adding in straps, the first and the last chain will determine where those straps will be placed. And if it's easier for you, you can just measure it as you go, and also measure it against a top that already has straps to see what is the size that you have to go for and what would be the ideal width where you would have to place in your straps later on. And here in total for myself I have done 40 chains, so this is enough for the size that I'm going for, which in my case would be something around size small. But now that this is done, we can proceed further with working on the first row. And throughout this project our main stitch will be half double crochets. So now to begin we just have to do 2 extra chains, so 1 and 2, and these 2 chains will actually count as a half double crochet stitch. So just keep in mind that this is actually a stitch, and then starting from this 3rd chain from our hook, this is where we have to place in our first half double crochet. And for that you just have to yarn over, then go through this chain, then grab yarn and pull it through to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops like this. So this is 1 half double crochet, and then you just have to repeat the same process throughout all of these chains that you have. So let's do another one together. So yarning over, going through this chain, grabbing yarn, pulling up to have 3 loops, yarning over and going through all 3 loops like this. So this is how you do half double crochets, and this is what you have to do throughout this first row. So just continue doing half double crochets, 1 inside each chain that you have here, until you have reached the very end and have also placed 1 half double crochet here inside the very last chain. And this is how far I have got. So now basically this first row is completed. I just have to place a half double crochet also in the last chain here, like this. So now this first row is done, and we can proceed further with the second row. And basically the process will be pretty much the same. It's just that the only difference will be that in the first and last stitch of every following row we will be placing in an increase, meaning that we will have to do 2 half double crochets in the first and last stitch. And to get started with the second row, we will first just turn or work like this. Then to begin we have to chain 2, so 1 and 2, and this chain of 2 as always will count as 1 half double crochet. So this is basically our first stitch, and then we just have to place another one here inside the very first stitch that we have here, like this. So this counts as 2 half double crochet increase, and now we just have to continue adding 1 half double crochet until the end of the row, until we reach the very last stitch. And then again in the very last stitch we will be placing in 2 half double crochets again, and that will basically mean that we are increasing by 1 stitch. So now I'm just continuing with placing 1 half double crochet inside every single stitch that I have here, and then I will meet you at the very end so we can do this increase at the end of the row together. And so here I have reached the end of this second row, and here we have this last stitch where we will have to place an increase, so 2 half double crochet stitches. And actually this last stitch are the 2 chains that we had in the very beginning, and since it counts as half double crochet, this is where we are going to place our increase, because it counts as a stitch. So the process is the same. We are just placing 2 half double crochets in the same space. So this is one, and then in the same space we are also adding the second one, like this. So now what we have done is that we have increased in the beginning and also in the end of this row. And with that our second row is finalized, and from now on you will basically just have to keep on repeating this second row that we just did until you have reached the side of your body on each side. So basically these stitches, like the first and the last one, will have to be placed on the side of your body, on the each side, or basically under your armpit. So you just have to keep on repeating this second row for as many times as it's needed, and in my case I will be doing around 25 rows in total. And here I am done with all the rows with increases, and with this I have established the width that I was going for, and in total I actually ended up doing 23 rows in total. But now that this is done, what we want to do is that we just want to add some more length, and for that we will basically be just doing regular rows with no increases either on the beginning or at the end. So for that the process is pretty much the same as it was during the very first row, and we just have to get started. And first we are chaining 2 as always, which counts as half double crochet, and since we are not doing an increase in the beginning we have to basically skip this first stitch because these 2 chains already count as half double crochet. And then right after that we are jumping to the next stitch and adding a half double crochet in there. So that is basically what we want to do since we are not doing increases, and we just have to keep on doing 1 half double crochet inside every single stitch until we reach the end of this row. And then again, once we are here at the end, we are just going to add 1 half double crochet in the very last stitch. So again, no increases there either. So I will just keep on doing this, and then I will meet you back again at the very end of this row. And here I am at the very end of this row. So again, I'm just placing 1 half double crochet inside the very last stitch, which is this chain of 2, and now this row is finalized. And then we just basically have to keep on repeating this row. So I'm just turning my work, chaining 2, which counts as half double crochet, then skipping the first and jumping to the next stitch, and then just adding 1/2 double crochet inside every single stitch. And in my case, I will be repeating this row for about 7 to 10 times, and as you go you can just measure it, because the main point is that we just want to cover or add length to be able to cover our chest area. And if you want, you're more than welcome to add more rows to build it into a tank top or even a longer top. But as I said, in my case, I will just keep on adding up to 7 to 10 rows in total, and that is when I'm going to meet you back again. And now here I am done with adding length. So in total I ended up doing 7 rows. And now the next steps what we are going to do are basically that we will add border here all the way around, and then once we reach these points, which is basically the top points, this is where we are going to place in straps, and then after that we will just continue then adding here the second strap and all the way around until we have added border all the way around. But to begin working on that, here I have completed my last row, and to get started with the border, first I'm just going to chain 1, which in this case is going to count as 1 single crochet, and then right away we are going to place single crochet here on top of the, like on the side of this row. And basically what we are going to do is that we will try to add 1 to 2 single crochets on top of every single row that we have here, and we just kind of have to make sure that we are spreading these single crochets out kind of like evenly. And then we will do the same thing also here once we proceed here, and then when we have stitches we will place 1 single crochet inside every single stitch. So that will apply here and then also here where we have stitches. But now to begin, if you don't know how to do a single crochet, you basically just have to go through this stitch here and then grab yarn and pull it up to have 2 loops, then yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops like this. So this is 1 single crochet, then the second one I'm placing here kind of like in between these rows and just doing the same thing. So that is another single crochet, then we have this row here, so I'm going through there, grabbing yarn, pulling up to have 2 loops, then yarning over and going through both loops like this. So this is the whole process that we have to do for adding the border, and we are basically doing that until we reach this tip here where I'm going to meet you back again so we can start working on the strap together. So I will see you there. And now here I have completed this border on this side, and now I have reached this tip. So here I'm just also placing a single crochet inside this corner stitch in here like that, and this is where we are now also going to start working on the strap. And to create a strap we will basically just have to do a bunch of chains, and then we will have to work our way back to do single crochets, and that is how we are going to establish this strap. So in my case I'm just going to do 200 chains, and then I will just skip the last chain, and then I will work my way back by adding 1 single crochet inside every single chain. But if you wish, you're more than welcome to do more or less chains for this strap, but just keep in mind that it's always easier to make them longer because you can always shorten them than other way around. So now I'm just doing 200 chains, and then I will meet you back so we can start working on this strap together. And here I have done my 200 chains, and this is basically the length of our strap, which is quite long because we are going to weave it through multiple places in the back. But now we can start working back on this strap, and first we just have to skip this last chain that we just did, and then starting from the next one we are doing single crochets. So I'm just going through every single chain and placing 1 single crochet inside each of them. So just going through, grabbing yarn to have 2 loops, then yarning over and pulling through both loops like this. So just place 1 single crochet inside every single chain until you reach the point where you started doing these chains. So until you are back here where we started in this corner. So this is where I'm going to meet you back again once I'm done. And here I am done with this strap, and this is how it looks. So with the single crochets that we did, you can see that we made this strap a little bit thicker. And here we have gone back to the beginning where we started, and I have also placed a single crochet here in the very last chain. So now what we want to do is that we just want to connect this strap back to the place where we started. So I'm just adding another single crochet here inside the same space like this. So now this strap is connected like this, and what we can continue with doing is that we just have to add one single crochet here on top of every single stitch that we have here until we reach this point, and this is where we are going to place our second strap in here. So basically the process is pretty much the same that we have done already. We just have to do one single crochet inside every single stitch here on top of the stitches that we have, and then once we reach this point here, this tip, this is where we have to add another strap following the same process as we did here. And then after that we are just connecting it and continuing here with this side, so adding 1 to 2 single crochets on top of every single row that we have here, and just working our way all the way around until we reach this point where we started with adding the border. So just continue with doing these steps and do the same thing as you did before, and I am going to meet you back again once we have finalized the second strap and finished with adding border all the way around, and once we are able to connect this border together in the point where we started. So I will see you there. And here I have gone all the way around, so I managed to add also the second strap, and here I have reached the point basically where I started. So now the border is added all the way around, and with this we are actually done with our top. And now what we want to do is basically we just want to connect the beginning with the end, and to do that I'm just going to do a slip stitch here inside the chain one that we did in the very beginning. And to do that you just have to go through this chain one, then grab yarn and pull it through to have 2 loops on your hook, and then this loop that you just pulled through, pull it through the initial loop that you had like this. And now you should just have 1 loop on your hook, and now to fasten off we can just chain 1 like this, then making this loop a little bit longer, then grabbing our scissors and cutting off yarn, and then as it's cut off we can just tighten it by pulling this loose end like this. So now this top is finalized, and the very last step that we want to do is to weave in all of the loose ends that we have, and there shouldn't be that many because basically everything was done all at once, but we still have this one end here that we just cut off. And to weave in I normally just use my crochet hook, but you can use whatever method you prefer. But with a crochet hook I basically just go through the stitches or loops in the back of my work or on the side, and then I just go through and pull this loose end and kind of like hide it in the stitches here on the side or whatever makes the most sense. And you just basically have to keep on weaving it through until you have done it with the whole end of it like this. So here you can see I have done it already a couple of times, and we are just like smoothly hiding it inside these stitches here on the side like this. So now that this is done, we are actually officially done with our top, and it is ready to be worn. So this is how it looks, and basically now that we are going to wear it, I will just show you how you can weave in these straps so it makes the most sense. So this will basically be our top. Here on the sides we will have these sides basically, and then these straps, the way how I'm going to weave them is that I will just have them going over my shoulder like this. Then I will weave them through this point where we basically stopped with our increases. So I'm just going through kind of like a side of this row that we have here, and I'm just weaving this strap through there like this. So this is how it's going to be here on this side, and then just going through this bottom row here, so basically the last row that we had, and also here on the very side like this. So this is how it's going to look on this side. And now we just also have to do the same thing with the other strap. So going through the row that is here on the side here, so the first row without any increases, and just pulling it through like this, then making a cross here and also weaving it through this last row here on the other side at the very bottom like this. So we are creating a cross here, and then you would just tie it in whatever way you prefer. I just like to create this tiny little bow like this, and then you also have some ends that are just hanging. So this is how it looks, and this is how you can tie it on your back. And this is how it looks on me once I'm wearing it. I'm super happy with this tiny little top, and it was super easy to make. And also I feel like this is a perfect creation for summer, as well as something that you can wear together with other crochet pieces that are made in similar or matching colors. So that was basically it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that this tutorial is going to be useful for you in case you're planning to recreate this top. And if you do, then please feel free to share your creations with me. I'm always super excited to see what you're creating and how it turned out. And if you did enjoy this video, then please give me a big thumbs up. And if you're new here, then please subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!